What to say about Tom Quinley? I met Tom when I was around 14 years old. I was at tryout for Colt League. I had just played for Mike Sifling for the Angels and Pony League, and I tried out and ended up finding out that I got signed by the Pirates for the Colt League at Hollenbeck Park. And little did I know that that man who decided to draft me, who took me in this, I believe the second round, I'm not sure. I have to confirm with Sifling. But little did I know that that man would change my life forever. He was the most impactful person in my life in those years, from my high school years to my junior college, all the way through my first 3 years of professional baseball. There was nobody else that impacted my life like he did. He did everything for me. He was not only a great coach. He showed me, numerous things about the game of baseball. We talked about baseball all the time. We talked about just the little things, the little details, all the little insights he had to the game that obviously made me think of the game in a different way. But I think beyond that, probably the most important thing is that he put a belief in me that I didn't even know I had, that I didn't have. And without him, I wouldn't have had it. I would probably be an engineer or maybe successful in some other way of life, but definitely not in baseball. I didn't think I was that good, and he had a way of making people feel, and I think everybody here can attest to this. He made everybody feel like they were better than they were, including me. I thought I was pretty good, but he made me feel like I was going to be a big leaguer. It's funny to think about that now and to think about the career I've had and where I am now, and to think that that was even questionable. But in my mind, I had all kinds of doubts, as does everybody else. But he had a way of like wiping those fears and those doubts away. When I was around Tom, I felt better. I felt like I was capable of more than I was. And he had that ability, that amazing ability to make people feel that way. And it's not only until now when I start to hear the outpouring of support for Tom. People have come to me through social media, through text message, through showing up at the ballpark, showing up at Dodger Stadium and yelling out, I played for Quinley. And just hearing their stories, hearing Murph's stories, hearing, all the players that have played, before me, hearing Derek talk about Tom and the stories that it's amazing to me that this man gave every ounce of his being to the game of baseball and those around him, those players, those coaches. And he impacted so many people's lives, including mine, more than he'll ever know. And the beautiful thing is the last couple of years, me getting this job at the Dodgers really allowed me the opportunity to thank him on a daily basis. We shared text messages back and forth. He would always text me if we did something silly in the game or if he thought we should have done something different. Take out this guy, or whatever his opinions were. Him, Murph, and I would sometimes meet up for dinner and just talk about the game, talk about the Dodgers, talk about baseball, talk about just baseball in general. I know Derek got to come to a few times. John Knott got to come a few times. Bobby Hansen. All these guys got to come and just share some stories and hear my input on how the game has changed and how when he coached, how things have changed. And he was fascinated by that. And it made me so happy to share those things with him because I think in some ways, he was kind of hoping I would stay old school, stay true to his old school beliefs. And I told him the one thing that I will take to my grave is the fact that you gave everything you had so selflessly to everybody. I mean, you were there for me when I needed you the most. My parents got divorced and he took on a father role that I desperately needed. And that goes beyond baseball. That goes beyond everything. I mean, he took me on trips. He took me everywhere. He took me to Arizona. He took me to Colorado. He took me to Baltimore to see my favorite player play. And oddly enough, he took me to the place in New York, Shea Stadium, where I ended up making my Major League debut. So how special was that, that I actually got to go to New York with Tom, and it was the same place where I made my Major League debut. And I thought about that the first game I played. I thought, wow, Quinter brought me here. A little while ago, 6, 7 years ago, he brought me here. And how ironic is that now I'm making my Major League debut in the same stadium? So the one thing I'm truly grateful is that we've got to share quite a bit in the last few years. I begged him to come to playoff games, and I finally talked him into coming. I said, if we go to Game 7 of the World Series, you have to be there. And he made it. He thought he was getting in people's way because he had to bring his oxygen tank. He thought he was always putting somebody out, and he wouldn't take credit for anything. I gave him so much credit when I made it to the big leagues. And he got mad at me. He got mad at me for saying his name to the media because he felt like he didn't deserve it, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world because he deserved pretty much all of it. And if he were here now, and I did get a chance to tell him this many times, but I would just say thank you. I would say thank you not only for me, Tom, but for so many others that you impacted. You will never be forgotten. Your legacy will live on beyond San Gabriel Valley. I will make sure of that. I will make sure people know who Tom Quinley was and what he did for so many people. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and I will never forget you. Thank you, Tom.